Hello Lionel. I thought I'd make you a video to reply to your latest video that you were on about your Trump-Pence conspiracy theory. My comments are going to be quite lengthy, so I thought I would give you a video. I'm sure you read your comments, but this is going to be quite long and it's quite arduous and tedious to put it, type it all up. It's much easier for me to just say it to you. So I hope you watch. Basically, I thought I would give you my own theories. I think that yours are on the money. I mean, for what it's worth. I mean, we're only theorising, right? But you raised the question. You said, why would they allow Trump? I mean, I thought this too. I mean, I live in England, so we had the same thing with Brexit. I was certain that Brexit was something that, like, the Clintons win, that's what they do, that Brexit would fail. They want, supranational, globalistic government, and giving the British public a choice would only be a facade. But obviously Brexit won, just like Trump won, and I was scratching my head for a long time thinking, how could that be possible? Or not possible, I guess. Well, why would it be desirable? So, as my response to your video, I'd like to say, I think your theory is correct, but my theory is more of an extension or a prequel to, I think, your astute observation. I agree, say, the behind the scenes, to them Trump is revocable. He is obviously an existential threat to kind of the idea of NATO as Russia as the bad guy that Trump is trying to be friends with, rather than simply feel threatened by. As I said, my thoughts are not just about Trump, they're also about Brexit. But I wondered, why did they allow it? Clearly Clinton is Hillary was the sanctioned accession. She was, in their ideal world, she was plan A. And I like your stalking horse idea, and that's what I think my theory kind of adds on to, is the fact that Pence and some of the other cabinet members that he has accumulated act as the bulwark, the contingency, the insurance policy, so to say, that allows them to have Trump and still not really feel threatened. My theory basically stems around the fact that both Brexit and Trump were a glorified opinion poll. Hence, they had to actually not rig it, because that you could rig an opinion, you could rig an actual opinion poll, but it's not going to tell you what. If you change the answer to what you want, then you know that that's not the actual answer that was there. So, I mean, my thoughts go back, obviously, thanks to Obama and the EU and Bush and the Patriot Act and the wars and all the rest of it. They've kind of bought themselves a bit of breathing space, and in that sense they have pushed the agenda so far forward now that even if it goes backwards a little bit, they can still pull it back to where it was. And I think I could expand this to a great extent when I talk about Brexit, but since your query was about Trump, because I wrote in my diary about all of this stuff, saying how they're kind of very similarly linked. I mean, I think I heard that there was a poll was saying there was like a 93% concurrence between Brexit voters and Trump voters, so that's interesting in and of itself anyway, right? The point being that Obama got the globalists say so far down the road that a little pause to reevaluate the surroundings was not just in the budget, so to speak, but necessary so that they can tailor future plans going forward. But it's also necessary, absolutely necessary, because I'll get onto the Corbett Evan Polite theme, because they made quite a few videos last year regarding the Summer of Rage, as they called it. You know, the idea that it was a divide and conquer. Well, there is definitely a divide and conquer aspect to it, and I'll come on to that again. But I think what they wanted was a true opinion poll of America. And yes, obviously there are opinion polls that are done every day, all the time. But they are limited in scope. Obviously, the Ipsos Mori style companies and things that do opinion polls haven't got the means to actually take an opinion off everyone in America, for example. So obviously they do small sections, and even though they might be applicable, they're not necessarily, they don't give them a true scope. And obviously also opinion polls are very transient, and they're subject to change, and you know, you only have to look at the presidential opinion polls, even if they were, what I hear, heavily weighted. The point is that they can, what you tell one opinion poll today might change tomorrow, and in comparison, proper presidential election is far more solid. You know? Obviously, not only is it the whole populace, or as much of the populace as can possibly be voted, but these people are voting on longer term issues. So whilst, you know, they can say, oh well, today I feel positively about Clinton, it's a different matter to want to have her as your president for 4 more years, because obviously there's a lot more, it's a decision rather than an opinion, and it's hopefully it's given more consideration than what you would simply say to somebody who's taking your opinion. And also there was the concept of, I thought it was a very good concept, that basically you had all of the pejoratives and the deplorables being levelled against the Trump voters and the Brexit voters, and so the actually smart elitists know an opinion poll done by another person is still going to be subject to kind of a social desirability aspect, whereby people will say what they think people want them to say publicly, so not to his face, but when obviously the more moderate people are not going to say things that they don't want to be, they don't want other people to know that they think them, and they wait until they get to the secrecy of the voting booth before making their kind of Catholic style confession. I liked your way of bringing in Sanders as the sheepdog, because the grandiose globalists wanted to perform, as I say in my theory, an actual real opinion poll, or as real opinion poll as possible. And from that standpoint, it had to be Trump, and Trump had to stand for what he stood for. He had to be, you know, kind of demagogically nationalist. Whether he meant it all, who knows? I mean, I admire at least the fact that the will of the people for kind of personal liberty was there, but this is what I think they actually wanted to know, the extent. So it had to be Trump, say, as long as Pence and all of the others were in the background as the contingency, bases were covered and all that, then it could be a real test that they allowed to happen. So that was the question: do Americans officially swallow the cronyist, overt globalist agenda? Because obviously, I mean, they have, I mean, I'm going to try and define these. They have a full spectrum dominance in the sense that they control everything that needs to be controlled. Most things, I'd say they control all the necessary things and most of the desirable things. But obviously, to control that, there has to be some kind of plausible deniability, you know, friends and rings amongst rings and all the rest of it, but what they want is a kind of overt acceptance that kind of a monarchy would enjoy, in the sense that, you know, they are the king and everyone knows that, whereas the multinationals control everything, but they have to have the facade of independence and competition and blah blah blah. So yeah, do the Americans now officially swallow the cronyist, overt, globalist agenda personified by Hillary? Or do the Americans still have the personal liberty values, you know, even if it's only in secret, despite the social undesirability that it comes with? I mean, thanks to them, obviously, their press is the ones who's making it socially undesirable to want personal liberty and freedom and all of that good stuff. But that was it. My thesis was they seeked an overwhelming majority, and so in this case it wasn't about rigging an election 49-51. It was more about achieving, well, I would say that to achieve Plan A, which is Hillary, they wanted 75%, maybe lower 66% of people to vote for her, which would have said, you know, even with all of the known information about, you know, suspicious deaths, frauds, all of the rest of it, even with all of that information, she still got in. If that had happened, if say 75 to 66% of people had said yes, then that would have been fine, because I say with 51 to 49%, you still, once you take in like an error range, it's not formidable. Whereas once you get to 2 or 3 to 1, it does start to become like formidably, overtly accepted in your favour. But this is what you're alluding to, was the Plan B, in the sense of like the Sir Edmunds Gladio style change of plan, is that both of these options are viable, but they needed extra information as to decide which way to actually go. I mean, obviously, I said it's not a secret anymore about what the Clintons get up to in office. So if people actually plumped for that, then they would say, well, clearly we've got them where they want them. I've written here that say their quest is for to see if Americans had actually abandoned their personal liberty and accepted a kind of collectivism. Say in private, not just in public, because it's the private views, it's the underground views. This is what they did with the Trump voters and the Brexit voters, by calling them racist and all of the rest of the deplorables. It became socially undesirable, so these people hid. They went down underground, they were secret. So in terms of knowing your enemy, that's the most dangerous and unpredictable enemy. It's the enemy that you can't quantify, that you don't know the size of, that can surprise you by turning coats on you, so to speak. And I guess once again, it comes back to my theory was based also on the idea that, like, America and Britain are the two former most powerful empires in the world, and so these places were allowed certain better conditions in order to scoop up the rest of the world. And now the question is, how much effort is required to bring America and Britain back in line with, what they've achieved in the other countries. And yeah, that's my thoughts. I'd like to know if you see them as valid, if you have anything to add. Thank you very much for all your great work. I do love watching your videos and love relearning new words every time I hear you speak. Thank you, Lionel. Good work.